Some people in the UK say they can't hear. Bhante, can you say something?
No, I said,
Can everyone confirm if you can hear, please? Samantha, can you hear?
No, it's not very clear, Bhante. It's not loud.
What can we do about it?
We can hear Nadisha, but not Bhante that clearly.
Oh, Hamdulillah.
No.
Can you take it a bit back?
Yes.
Now see Samantha?
Hello.
Yeah, that sounds a bit better.
It's there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato
Yeah,
samma
that's
sambuddhassa. Dear Dhamma friends, devotees, today it's a happy day because this is the annual general meeting of the servants of the Buddha, and everybody very peacefully and harmoniously participated for the function, and this gives me very good impression or the happiness to my mind. People happily harmoniously practice the noble path. So it is something to be happy. Anyway, now I'm going to explain you. First, I explain how Buddha explain jealousy, and then I'm going to explain how Buddha explains Mudita, or the sympathetic joy. These two things I'm going to discuss and talk about. So for the jealousy, there is no good English translation according to my knowledge. Scholars like to use the word envy, not the jealousy. In our English translations, we always find envy, not the jealousy. But in Pali, it is issa. Pali word is issa. Sinhala word is irsya. The meaning of issa or the irsya is not happy with others' happiness, not happy about others' happiness. That is the nature of issa. I don't know whether it's jealousy or the envy. Anyway, the nature of issa is not happy about others' happiness. And it has very different forms, and it is very common in normal human mind. Even within very small children, you can find issa, the jealousy. And within young people, it is very common, issa or jealousy is there. And in mature people, they have issa, jealousy. And within very old people, they have issa, jealousy. And within monks and monastics, they have issa, jealousy. And within lay people, they have issa. And within very educated people, they have issa. And within very uneducated people, they have issa or jealousy. So this is very, very common mental weakness available in almost all the minds. I think even in divine worlds, among divine beings, they can have jealousy. It's a kind of mental weaknesses everywhere available. Now, when we look at children, very small children, if they see other kids have better toys than them, so they can have jealousy. So if they see other kids treated nice or better way than them, so they can have jealousy. So within young generation, young people, or let's say teenagers, let's say their education, in their education, if another child, another kid is clever than another one, so there can be jealousy in between them. And when they come to more mature stage, mature level, if one is more handsome or beautiful than other one, definitely in between them there can be jealousy. Or if one get more prettier girl as girlfriend or more handsome boy as boyfriend, then there can be jealousy, definitely. So through this you can understand jealousy is very common, freely available mental weakness. And even among very educated people, even in between professors, there can be jealousy. In between political leaders, jealousy can be there. And sometimes when one gets more fame and praises and gains, in between monastics, there can be jealousy. So we have to accept this truth. Jealousy is everywhere within us, but some people, that is their character, they don't have much jealousy. And there are some other people, it is their character, their nature, they have much more jealousy than normal people. This kind of thing we can see, but it is common for everybody. Now, I like to read you how jealousy is defined in our Dhamma books. This is from Attasalini. Attasalini is the commentary to Dhammasangani. Dhammasangani is the first Abhidhamma book, and for that book there is a commentary called Attasalini. Attasalini explained jealousy this way. This is translation. This is a translation done by Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi. He used the word envy for issa, not the jealousy. Envy has the characteristic of being jealous of others' success. Its function is to be dissatisfied with others' success. It is manifested as aversion towards that. Its proximate cause is others' success. So this is the definition given in Abhidhamma. So when others are successful, then that is the ground, that is the base jealousy to arise. If somebody is going beyond you, passing you, then very easily jealousy can arise in the mind. It can be anything. If somebody, let's say, there is a virtuous one, virtuous than you, then there can be jealousy. And there is a good meditator, better meditator than you. So jealousy can arise. And if there is a one who is more knowledgeable in Dhamma than you, so jealousy can arise. And somebody is working hard, working better way to reach Nibbana than you. So then jealousy can arise. So through that you can understand it. It is very common mental weaknesses, same way as greed, hatred, delusion. But this jealousy or the issa is rooted to aversion. It's not greed or it's not delusion. It's rooted to aversion. You get kind of unhappiness about others' success. That unhappiness is aversion. According to Buddha's Abhidhamma, there are 89 consciousness. So among these 89 consciousness, 2 are rooted to hatred. Within these 2 hatred consciousness, we find jealousy or the envy. Not within other consciousness, only within these 2 consciousness. We have 2 hatred rooted consciousness in Pali, if I say, Domanassa Sahagata, Patiga Sampayutta, Asankarika Chitta, and Domanassa Sahagata, Patiga Sampayutta, Sasankarika Chitta. These 2 consciousness are the hatred rooted consciousness. Only within these 2 consciousness we find issa or the envy or jealousy. But these 2 consciousness can arise frequently within us. Whenever we see others' success, others' happiness, spontaneously these consciousness arise, unknowingly. And it's beyond our control, beyond our limit. Especially, jealousy can arise towards enemies. If your enemy is successful, that is the moment you get jealous. If your friend is successful, it is not the ground, not at that moment you really happy about it. But when your enemy is successful and happy, you can't bear it, or we can't bear it. That unbearable nature of mind is called jealousy. We can't bear up our enemy's happiness, our enemy's success. So this is the jealousy. And especially because of the beauty and the wealth and power and education and virtue, because of all these things, we can have jealousy. All the good things of others, our enemies, cause to generate issa, or the jealousy within us. And this issa, I have read in one Dhamma book. It is said, once you attain Sotapannahood, jealousy completely eradicated. But we can argue up to non-returnerhood, we have these 2 angry minds. So up to Anagamihood, there is a possibility to arise jealousy within mind or people. So this is the theoretical explanation about jealousy. And Buddha talk about jealousy in Chula Kamma Vibhanga Sutta also. What is the consequence? What's the result of bad karma done because of jealousy? So you have heard there is a man called Subha, young man, and came to Buddha and asked few questions. One question is, why some people are influential and some others not? Then Buddha says, here student, some man or woman is envious. One who envies, resents, and begrudges the gains, honor, respect, reverence, salutations, and veneration received by others. Because of performing and undertaking such action, he reappears in a state of deprivation. But if instead he comes back to the human state, then wherever he is reborn, he is uninfluential. This is the way, student, that leads to being uninfluential. Namely, one is envious towards the gains, honor, respect, reverence, salutation, and veneration received by others. So this is the consequence of envy or the jealousy. One becomes uninfluential. And again, Buddha says, but here, student, some man or woman is not envious. One who does not envy, resent, and begrudge. Begrudge the gains, honor, respect, reverence, salutations, and veneration received by others. Because of performing and undertaking such action, he reappears in a happy destination. But if instead he comes back to the human state, then wherever he is reborn, he is influential. This is the way, student, that leads to being influential. Namely, one is not envious towards the gains, honor, respect, reverence, salutations, and veneration received by others. So it is very important. If you like to be an influential person, then you should not be jealous. Especially very influential politicians and famous people, they have done this wholesome in their past lives. They did not envious. That's why in this life, they become famous and influential and powerful people. So now we should not envious towards them. If we are envious and jealous about famous people, powerful people, this unwholesome karma badly affect us in our future lives. So now I like to see this mental factor from another point of view. We discussed this Dhamma in order to realize 4 noble truths. So what is the relationship in between jealousy and 4 noble truths? It is good to understand. Now, jealousy is within the truth of suffering and cause of suffering. It is not within the cessation of suffering and path leading to the cessation of suffering. How we can include into truth of suffering? Now we know truth of suffering means 5 aggregates subject to clinging: form aggregate, feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, mental formation aggregate, and consciousness aggregate. Now, where this jealousy is available within these 5 aggregates, it is good to know. Now, within form aggregate, jealousy is not there. And within feeling aggregate, jealousy is not there. And within perception aggregate, jealousy is not there. And within consciousness aggregate, jealousy is not there. Jealousy is available in the mental formation aggregate. But you know, we all know, without feeling, without perception, without consciousness, mental formations are also not available. All these are always working together. But when we study the exact place where jealousy available, we find it is within the mental formation. Jealousy is a mental formation. So, in order to overcome jealousy, one main understanding you have is jealousy is something impermanent. Because all the formations are impermanent. Sabbe sankhara anicca. Before to go to mudita or sympathetic joy to overcome jealousy, if you can understand jealousy as a mental formation and it's impermanent, that understanding definitely helps us to overcome jealousy. Jealousy is impermanent mental formation. It shouldn't be taken as I or my soul or myself. This impermanent mental formation. And jealousy can include into cause of suffering. Now, when we consider Four Noble Truths, there are 2 ways of explaining Four Noble Truths. One is 4 truths, Chatu Satya, in Pali Chatu Satya. Other one is Chaturara Satya, Chatu Arya Satya. When we say Chaturara Satya, 4 Noble Truths, cause of suffering is only craving. But when we say 4 truths, Chatu Satya, not only craving, all the other defilements include into cause of suffering. So in that case, jealousy can be included into cause of suffering also. But in one way, it is belong to truth of suffering. In another way, it can be either truth of suffering or cause of suffering. But it never included into cessation of suffering and path leading to the cessation of suffering. This is another way of understanding jealousy. And jealousy also, we can discuss jealousy with relation to the elements. Now, this being or the so-called person is just 6 elements. They are earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, and consciousness element. This jealousy is not earth element, not water element, not fire element, not air element, not space element. It is within the consciousness element. Jealousy is something within the consciousness element. And we know there is a classification as mentality and materiality. So jealousy is not anything relating to materiality. It's within the mentality. And we know there are 6 sense bases. Eyes sense base, or eye sense door, ear sense door, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This jealousy is available in the mind sense door. So like that, you can look at differently from different point of view to recognize jealousy properly. You can consider the relationship in between 4 noble truths and jealousy, 6 elements and jealousy, and mentality and materiality and jealousy, and sense bases and jealousy. Through that, you can place jealousy in the correct place. So jealousy is a mental factor, mental formation. And this mental factor is available only within 2 hatred-rooted minds. And together with jealousy, you find other 4 hatred-rooted mental factors. In Pali, we call dosa, issa, Maitriya, kukuccha. Dosa means hatred or aversion. Issa is jealousy. Maitriya means stinginess. Kukuccha means frustration. So all these mental factors going together, and they are form of hatred. So jealousy is form of hatred. Because when jealousy comes, unhappiness is there in them. You are not happy about the other's happiness. And now, before to go to Mudita, or the sympathetic joy, there is another way to overcome jealousy. That is using the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Now, in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, we find one foundation of mindfulness called Chittanupassana. In this Chittanupassana, Buddha says, Sadosang va chittang sadosang chittanti pajami. You have to observe or understand aversion mind as aversion mind. So this is one way of eradicating aversion. So whenever jealousy comes into the mind, you have to observe it. Directly look at it. If you don't like it, and if you hide it, if you don't face to jealousy, you never overcome the jealousy. So in order to overcome the jealousy, we have to face the jealousy. We have to accept and recognize jealousy as jealousy. If you claim yourself, I don't have jealousy, I'm not envious, then you can't overcome the jealousy. You have to accept when the situation comes, you can have jealousy. It's a truth. So accepting that truth, you have to face jealousy face to face. Then you recognize the nature of jealousy, and length and breadth of the jealousy, and intensity of jealousy, and impure nature of jealousy, and unwholesomeness of the jealousy. That is helpful to overcome the jealousy. But if you don't face the jealousy, and if you hide the jealousy, then you can't overcome jealousy. So in order to have ability to observe the jealousy, you need the noble path. If you are not within the noble path, you can't observe your mind. You can't do Chittanupassana. So you have to be a kind of virtuous one and restrained one and faithful one. And you have to have enough Dhamma knowledge. You have to have a lot of background facility to directly observe the jealousy. Otherwise, it's not easy because jealousy is very subtle mental factor. It's not very gross as aversion. It's not very gross as desire. It is very subtle. So in order to recognize subtle mental factors, you have to have good background or foundation. So it is good to have, it's good to be virtuous if you want to eradicate jealousy. And eradication of jealousy happens step by step. Now, when one observe 5 precepts and keep 5 precepts, so he curtail the jealousy that can break the 5 precepts. He obstructs the jealousy which can cause to killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying. So 5 precepts are the first strategy to control jealousy. Then there is further virtue, that is controlling senses. If you can control sense doors, you can curtail another part of jealousy. Now, as example, when you see a certain person who is not your friend, and if you get jealousy because of seeing him, so if you can control your eyes, then that part of jealousy won't arise within. And when you listen to somebody, hear something, if jealousy arises within you, and if you can control your ears, that part of jealousy can curtail. Like that, using the Indriya Samvara Sila, or the guarding sense doors, another part of jealousy can be controlled. Like that, virtue also useful to control or the curtail or suppress jealousy. And then we can go to we are qualified to practice. If we are virtuous, then we are qualified to practice 4 foundations of mindfulness. So under 4 foundations of mindfulness, as I explained before, we find Chittanupassana. Within Chittanupassana, there is an area you have to observe angry minds. Under that, you get opportunity to observe jealousy. It is Chittanupassana. And then, after mindfulness, you come to better level. It is concentration. Mindfulness, and then concentration, and then wisdom. Mindfulness is the base or the ground. Within that, or on that ground, you can develop 2 things, that is samatha and vipassana. Within mindfulness, you can observe the jealousy, and again you can develop mudita in order to suppress jealousy. Developing mudita is samatha meditation. It is within the samatha, or the concentration. So concentration, or the anyway, when we develop any kind of concentration, automatically our jealousy suppressed, because we have to suppress 5 hindrances to reach any kind of concentration. So 5 hindrances we all know: sense desire, aversion, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry. So here aversion means it is something relating to jealousy. So when you develop concentration, you suppress aversion. That means you suppress jealousy also. But when you develop mudita, it is the direct opposite of jealousy. So there is a very good explanation about mudita in this book. This is the book called Visuddhimagga. Visuddhimagga is the best book other than Tripitaka and commentaries in Theravada tradition. This was written by Venerable Buddhaghosa. Buddhaghosa is the greatest commentator in our Theravada history within last 2,500 years. He is the best commentator. And he wrote this very valuable book, Visuddhimagga. In this book, Venerable Buddhaghosa very correctly explained how to develop mudita. So we need not to compile anything because he has said perfectly what to be said. Venerable Buddhaghosa says, now here this Visuddhimagga translated by Venerable Jnana Moli, he used gladness for the Pali word mudita, and some other scholars use sympathetic joy, altruistic joy, like that, or sympathetic gladness. There are few words. Here, Venerable Jnana Moli used gladness. Gladness is the opposite wholesome quality to jealousy. So here, Venerable Buddhaghosa says, one who begins the development of gladness should not start with the dear person and the rest. For a dear person is not the proximate cause of gladness merely in virtue of dearness. How much less the neutral and hostile person? One of the opposite sex and one who is dead are also not the field for it. Yes, so when you start to develop mudita or the sympathetic joy, you should not select your normal friends and your enemies and opposite sex and who is dead, because it is not the ground to develop mudita. However, the very dear companion can be the proximate cause for it. One who is the commentaries is called a boon companion, for he is constantly glad. So this is the person, this is the object you use to develop sympathetic joy or mudita. Boon companion. He laughs first and speaks afterwards. So he should be the first to be pervaded with gladness. So this is the way gradually and methodically we develop mudita. Or on seeing or hearing about a dear person being happy, cheerful and glad, gladness can be aroused thus. This being is indeed happy. This being is indeed glad. How good, how excellent. For this is what is referred to the Vibhanga, and how does a bhikkhu dwell pervading one direction with his heart endowed with gladness, just as he would be glad on seeing a dear and beloved person, so he pervades all beings with gladness. So mudita is kind of gladness and happiness, but the jealousy is kind of unhappiness. In order to overcome that unhappiness, we have to cultivate gladness. So that gladness is mudita. And when we develop mudita or the gladness, we have to select suitable person. He shouldn't be a normal friend. He must be our best friend. Best friend as well as happy best friend. If our best friend is not happy, he is not suitable. This friend or this person's nature is he laughs first and speaks afterwards. Such kind of person to be the object to develop gladness or the mudita. But if his boon companion or the dear person was happy in the past, but is now unlucky and unfortunate, then gladness can still be aroused by remembering his past happiness and apprehending the glad aspect in his in this way. In the past, he had great wealth, a great following, and he was always glad. Or gladness can be aroused by apprehending the future glad aspects in him in this way. In the future, he will again enjoy similar success and will go about in golden plankions on the backs of elephants or on horseback, and so on. So this is explanation according to 5th century. So you have to adjust it according to today's world. Like my friend will use a very valuable car in future. He will build a mansion. He will become very happy person in future. Thinking that way, we can develop gladness. Or we can think in the past, he was very wealthy person, very happy person. Like that, we can recollect the happiness of our friend and develop the gladness. Having thus aroused gladness with respect to a dear person, he can then direct it successively towards a neutral one and after that towards a hostile. So this is the path. At the very beginning, you should not think about your hostiles or enemies or your competitors. At the very beginning, you have to think about your best friends who are very happy. So that is the way to start or develop mudita. But if resentment towards the hostile one arises in him in the way already described, he should make it subside in the same way as described under loving kindness. So before to come to mudita or the sympathetic joy or the gladness, you have to practice metta and karuna before. Without metta, or without loving kindness and without compassion, you can't reach to sympathetic joy or mudita. So metta and karuna are the base, and gladness is depending on metta and karuna. He should break down the barriers by means of mental impartiality towards the four, that is, towards these three and himself. Yes, your friend and moderate one, and enemy, and yourself. All four should, towards all four, one has to have same kind of attitude. That is the a very developed level of mudita. And by cultivating that sign, developing and repeatedly practicing it, he should increase the absorption to triple and quadruple jhana in the way already stated under loving kindness. So these explanations are to achieve jhanas, not for our day-to-day affairs. These Buddha Ghosha's explanations are to achieve 4 jhanas. According to his explanations, Metta is to achieve first jhana, Karuna is to achieve second jhana, Mudita is to achieve third jhana, and Upekkha is to achieve fourth jhana. So these explanations are not for normal people, but especially for monastics who are extremely virtuous and who want to become arahants. That's why he always talk about jhanas. And there is another explanation. Those endowed with it are glad more than, or itself is glad more than, or it is the mere act of being glad more than, thus it is gladness, mudita. So this is the meaning of the word mudita. And Venerable Buddha Ghosha further explains, gladness is characterized as gladdening produced by others' success. Its function resides in being unenvious. It is manifested as the elimination of aversion. Its proximate cause is seeing being's success. It succeeds when it makes aversion subside, and it is fails when it produces merriment. So this is another important thing. If it produces merriment, it is not the mudita. Mudita and merriment, two different things. And there's another explanation. Gladness has joy based on the home life as its near enemy. So gladness, or this mudita, has two enemies. One is near enemy, other one is far enemy. So the near enemy is joy based on the home life as its near enemy. Now, people living in normal sensual world, they have kind of happiness. It's called Gehasita Somanassa. Gehasita Somanassa is the near enemy for the gladness. Since both share in seeing success, such joy has been described in the way beginning when a man either regards as gain the obtaining of visible objects cognizable by the eye that are sought and associated with the worldliness, or recalls those formerly obtained that are past, ceased and changed, then joy arises in him. Such joy as this is called joy based on the home life. So that joy is not wholesome. That joy is not mudita. That joy is probably unwholesome and based on greed. Because present objects can give us happiness, but that happiness is not the mudita or the gladness. And aversion, which is dissimilar to the similar joy, is its far enemy. Yes, so the aversion is the far enemy of mudita. The joy based on home life is the near enemy. Aversion is the far enemy. So gladness should be practiced free from fear of that. For it is not possible to practice gladness and be discontented with remote abodes and things connected with the higher profitableness simultaneously. So we have to understand gladness has two enemies. One is near enemy, other one is far enemies. We have heard there's a thing called arati. Arati means dislike to develop jhanas and other superhuman achievements. So that is the thing talk about here. That is arati. Arati shouldn't be there when a person has mudita within. So this is the Venerable Buddha Ghosa's explanation about mudita. So first of all, we have to understand jealousy. Then we have to face the jealousy. We have to see the jealousy. How it works within us, we have to understand. Then that understanding can weaken the jealousy. Then we are suitable to develop, yes, we can develop mudita to suppress jealousy. Even we suppress it in order to complete eradication, I think, according to my understanding, we have to attain anagami or the non-returnship to have complete eradication of jealousy. So I wish you, may you all eradicate jealousy and attain non-returnable superior. Thank you.